Good evening and Merry Christmas to all of you. Welcome to Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso. Tonight we look at the effectiveness and the efficiency of both security and the logistics. We have three conferences, or should I say twin summits, and the Speakers Conference coming up. With these three in hindsight, meaning from the 3rd of January all the way to the 23rd of January, the country is going to be buzzing. All stops will be here in Uganda. But the question of security becomes paramount, especially looking at what has been happening. When you look at the map at the back here, you see that a few days ago, 10 people were killed in the Kamwenge region there. But also, in the last 3 months, Kasese has been buzzing with a lot of ADF there. When you look at Chivale, where the national park is, the southwest of the country is struggling there. We're asking a lot of questions about the security. When we go further and look at what's happening in DRC, like it's happening today, with the elections there, the tensions between Rwanda and DRC, will they spill over into Uganda? Especially looking at the non-aligned movement, looking at the G77 plus China conference there, but also the 27th Speakers Conference that happens between the 3rd and the 6th of January. How much security do we need? How much of these logistics or inconveniences will they be to you and I, even as we try to make business happen? Will the economy be affected? Are there any lessons we took from Chogam, or shall we be learning again? Does thunder strike twice? Let's meet the panel. And on my extreme right, the Minister in charge of Information and ICT and National Guidance, Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, is with us today, and he'll be giving us perspective from the media side, but also on how they'll be managing the PR that is coming in there. With the different facets of news coming in, especially from the UK and the US, how are they managing to make sure that this is good news for us? Making his maiden appearance on our show, he is the Member of Parliament for Nyabushozi, also the chairperson of the Defense and the Internal Affairs Committee. He is Honorable Wilson Kajwenje, who is with us today to give us perspective on what the budget looks like. Shall we be seeing supplementaries, or will the Ministry of Defense come back to speak to them on what's happening there? Next to him, he's no stranger to this show. He's one we call upon when we want to discuss anything insightful from both the Ministry of Defense and as a spokesperson of the UPDF. Brigadier General Felix Kulaije is with us tonight, and he'll be giving us perspective on what this means in terms of securing the boundaries, but also should Ugandans be concerned with the stories that are coming up left, right, and center. He was a journalist, specialized in anything that was political but also in security. He is a Member of Parliament for Kira Municipality. Honorable Semuju Nganda is with us today to be able to give us also perspective on what the history was, what we should be expecting, but also what his constituents expect in this season and how they can benefit. Finally, she is the only lady that we host here, Professor Sarah Sari, Dean at the School of Women and Gender Studies. She's here to let us know what Ugandans should be expecting, but also perspective from an ordinary Ugandan on what we desire as security in this country. You can be part of the show. Go to our YouTube channel. Let us know what you're thinking. Drop your comment there. But also, you can go to our X platform, hashtag UBC Behind the Headlines. Let us know what you think. Drop your comment there. Halfway through the show, we'll be discussing some of those comments there. Or the number 0709 60 25 92. Let us know what you think by text or WhatsApp. As usual, I'll jump straight to the Minister. And Honorable Minister, I think the question that comes to you straight from us to you is, what is the state of the security in country and in the region?
Yeah, thank you very much, Timothy, and good evening, viewers. We are happy to be again here at the show. Yes, the state of security. First of all, to remind ourselves that the fact that we are going to host these many conferences, the Speakers Conference, NAM, G77, is a sign of confidence the international community has in Uganda. And therefore, we are happy and ready to be hosting these meetings. Many dignitaries from all over the world have confirmed attendance, heads of states and government, and the high-profile personalities will be here in Kampala come early next year. Now, Uganda is peaceful, save for the few incidents in the western part of the country, like you have said, what happened in Kamwenge, and also what happened in the Kasese a few weeks or like a month ago. And like we've been explaining, these are suspected ADF terrorists who are running away from the firepower in Congo. Because you recall that the government of Uganda agreed with the government of DRC, our two presidents and the governments and the military establishments agreed, and the UPDF went into Congo to hunt down these ADF rebels or terrorists. And because they are being overwhelmed by the pursuit by UPDF, a few of them have run away, some inside Congo and others into Uganda. And that explains those who burnt the school in Rubihira, those who killed the tourists and their driver, then those who attacked the vehicle which was carrying onions from Kisoro, and they killed one person, and then the incident in the Kamwenge. So Ugandans should not be scared to think that maybe insecurity is spreading all over the country, and therefore people should panic. There should be no need for panic. Our message has always been that the security starts with all of us, particularly in those areas bordering DRC, that axis from Ntoroko, Bundibujo, down to Kasese, Kanungu, down to Kisoro, and the surrounding districts. But also the entire country, we should all be alert. If there are suspicious individuals whom we don't understand, then we should be able to alert police or LCs or the nearest authorities, because these could be the marauding remnants of ADF that are just bent on causing mayhem. You can see they just use pangas and kill people and then cause that kind of fear in the population. But that one is manageable despite what has happened, but a situation which is manageable. There is no cause for fear. It is not necessarily a sign of strength on the side of ADF, but rather it's because they are being pursued, and a few who could have escaped into the country will definitely be hunted down, like those who killed the tourists. As we reported, they were actually handled. Some of them killed, the others ran, their commander captured and injured. So even these who could still be scattered in parts of western Uganda, they will definitely be handled. And therefore, the assurance that we give Ugandans, but also the international community, especially those who are coming for these conferences, that there is no need to worry. Our spokesperson for the Defense Forces is here. The security is at its highest. You see, we have had events like Uganda Matters, for instance, Namugongo, which are events which are pre-announced. Even now, we know that on the 3rd June next year, there will be a gathering of thousands of people in
Actually, two gatherings.
Anglican Church, and even the Muslims have now started having their Namugongo. We had Nyege, which attracted many Ugandans and international visitors. It was secured, and it went very well. So even these meetings which are going to take place here in Kampala, Munyonyo, they will be handled. Security will be managed. We expect the delegates to come, and they will be here safe, and they will get back safely. So there should be no cause for worry. But all of us must always be alert, because security starts with us, and we must be on the lookout for these wrong elements.
And Honorable Minister, sticking with you,
yes,
I think one of the things that comes through is especially the comment or the developing story about the president reinstating the LDUs in the southwest there, but also the tensions between Rwanda and DRC, and also today's news, the former head of the Electoral Commission in DRC aligning himself with M23 in Nairobi today. Are you concerned, especially also on the regional scene, with all these developments coming in about security for both these conferences and summits?
We are concerned and monitoring and watching what's going on within the region, particularly with the elections in the DRC and all those dynamics, as well as the comments and statements coming from the leaders there, as well as Rwanda. Yes, we are watching, but we do hope that there will be no spillover in terms of security implications on our side. But we are alert, we are ready to secure Uganda should there be any reason for what is happening outside probably to have an effect on the side of Uganda. But we are not worried at all. And we are not part of their local politics. So we don't expect any big problem on our side in Uganda.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Yes,
Honorable Wilson, the state of security, from your perspective as the chairperson both of Defense and Internal Affairs, but also being a member of Parliament for Nyabushozi, when you look at our state right now, especially you coming from the West, and this is in the Southwest, does this concern you and your constituents, especially when we draw closer to these conferences and summits?
Thank you, and very good evening to our viewers. First of all, the month of January 2024, in my view, I consider it to be very crucial for the power of Africa. It's going to be a whole month where international spotlight, should I say even world spotlight, will be on Uganda. Every other leader, civil society, political, security, or business for that case, including tourists and investors, will be looking at Uganda. So if we distinguish ourselves as very good hosts, as very hospitable, as very secure, and I'm sure we are, it will have a brilliant outcome for the Republic of Uganda. From my perspective, legislative, and then should you call it, because you see, security is a commodity that is not seen physically. It's a commodity that when it is punctured, we all feel it. But on a daily basis, just like air, on 365 days when we are secure, we don't even give a notice. But once when wrongdoers puncture that line and cause terror, then we think about it. So we have to give credit to both uniformed and non-uniformed security personnel who do the job all the time. From Parliament perspective, it is the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda that gives financial muscle to all security personnel to guard our borders, both at the external part of it, but also internally to keep us safe and secure. Coming to the three summits that are coming on from 3rd up to the end of the month, Parliament of Uganda has given whatever money, amount of money that government has requested from us for purposes of security, for purposes of hospitality, for purposes of protocol. And so from my perspective, I think we are looking forward to a conference where there won't be any incidents in as far as security is concerned. We have asked the right questions, but we have still given the money that they needed. And there is certainly, and Uganda is not new at this, first of all. Very many conferences have been held here. We haven't, of course, hosted NAM, but we hosted CHOGM. That was in 2007. And I'm sure we still have lessons to learn. Every year, we host close to 6 million people, faith believers, both Anglican, Catholic, and now Muslims. And as the minister said, this is pre-announced, but all those have been secured. We have had, and of course, this is not to say that the wrong people are not having eyes on us. They definitely are. As you correctly put it, from the West, I do not consider that ADF, for example, is a threat to look at. They are only doing this for purposes of announcing that they are still alive. They are terrorists, so all they need to do is to cause terror, trying to cover their weaknesses, trying to cover that their bases in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo have been decimated by our firepower, air superiority. So I have no reason to believe that we are going to have, not to believe that we are going to have a beautiful summit after summit, back to back, 3 of them.
Honorable, let me stay with you. I hope we're not putting our heads in the sand as ostriches and ignoring what is there. But if we focus on the speakers' conferences, the twin summits that are coming, we know guaranteed security for them. What happens to the rest of the country?
I think we have sufficient manpower. That is first of all. And we have built, we have sufficient manpower that can cover our borders, but also keep us safe internally here. So it's not going to be that you are withdrawing forces from here to cover the summit and then you leave the rest of the borders bare and uncovered. That's not the case. I can, as chairperson for Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, we have provided, we have appropriated sufficient amounts of money for their budget, and I think they are not lacking. I am very sure they are not lacking. I am confident about the security forces, both uniformed and non-uniformed. They have acquired sufficient, should I say, lethal capacity, both digital and non-digital, to keep us secure externally and internally.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Brigadier General Felix Kulaija, let me come to you, General. And I think my question to you will be straight. Looking at especially the East African standby, the East African force leaving the UPDF, in this instance, leaving DRC, looking at what happened in Kamwenge, you have been at the forefront of speaking about what has happened in Kasese in the last few months. Are we secure as a country for the Conference of the Speakers and the Twin Summits?
The answer is yes, we are secure.
Do you have everything you require to ensure that we are secure border to border?
He mentioned the Chogam. Some of you remembers we hosted the Commonwealth Speakers 3 years ago. It was another big conference that went successfully. And over the time we have acquired better and better capacity to secure this country. You see, what happened in Kasese and then the other day in Kamwenge, you do not want to call it the order of the day. These are opportunistic strikes by terrorists to achieve their 3 main objectives. Scare the people, get publicity. And then the third one, these ones were scavenging even for food because they survived an attack last week where their commander was wounded, Kamusu, and they killed 2, they lost 2. Now these have been reduced to 5. Remember, we are talking of 10. Those who attacked the people in Kamwenge were 4. So they are being decimated. Now this is not a time to worry, it's a time to celebrate and instead add more vigor to ensure that even these remnants are finished. And I want to answer the question you asked about the redeployment or reactivation of the local defense personnel. Whenever you have a security question to address that is in the countryside, that's in a populated area, you definitely want to activate your village-based security. Village-based security would start with the local councils. Okay? Now, 2, ordinarily, you have the police within the localities, either sub-county level or parish level if you have the capacity. Now, when need arises, you have these opportunistic attacks, then you want to activate the lethal security at village level, which is local defense personnel that are armed. And if you check, these people who were killed, some were actually guarding their crops from monkeys. Now you want to, these people feel free, feel confident again to go back and look after their crops. And hence the reactivation of the local defense personnel. Two, rightly put, we have these international conferences. 3, in 1 month, 1 country, 1 capital city. That's great, enormous confidence in this country. And we as citizens can only hype about it rather than expressing reservations. Now, the pulling out of DRC by the East African Community Interventions Force, of course, as you know, the principles of peacekeeping require the host country to be in agreement, to actually accept for you to go there and offer to help them. The mandate was up to 8th of December. The Congolese authorities opted not to extend the mandate and instead opted for SADC forces. Now, as you know, in the African Union security architecture, SADC has its own standby brigade. Whether that's the one they are going to deploy, I'm yet to know. But the CDFs met in Arusha and agreed on a modus operandi of handing over the areas were taken over. Despite those challenges, at least we are talking of elections having taken place in Congo, starting today. I'm told it is continuing. The fact that the DRC can have elections a 6th time, for me, I say kudos. So, we are coming back. It's not that we lack what to do. We have a lot of work to do. We had surrendered that force to the East African community because of our interest in the regional integration and the capacity of the region to deal with the security challenges within the community. One thing I'm celebrating President Tshisekedi, my namesake, you know, the Felixes always do something good, they leave behind, is bringing DRC in the East African community. For me, that is the greatest joy I ever got. Because you are talking about now a block from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean. You imagine the amount of trade that's going to happen. Not to that level. Because you still required a visa to go to Kinshasa, now you won't be required. That's one aspect. 2, you have your business people here who have an enormous market in Eastern and the Central Congo that they are going to tap into. The more reason we need urgent roads that enter into the hinterland of Congo. For our people in Chikubo, for our manufacturers, to have a market.
How is the UPDF, or should I say the defense forces, really monitoring the security in the region? Because when you look, you've left DRC, there is ADF and 100 other 20 militant groups in there. You're also seeing the tensions between DRC and Rwanda. Today we see a declaration by the former head of the electoral body in DRC aligning to the M23. Are these concerns for you, and are you monitoring them? What kind of intelligence is coming from this?
We are, of course, we are concerned. And fortunately, through a bilateral arrangement, we have monitoring teams the other side of the border, in Beni and Goma. There is also a monitoring mechanism. These were established at the heads of states level. That helps us to monitor what is going on the ground. But 2, the East African community certainly has focus on the region. So the liaison officers, who are the defense attaches at the EAC from the member states, keep visiting these areas that are under contention. 3, you cannot afford not to monitor when you are an island of peace and you have threats of insecurity to the north, threats of insecurity to the west. Now, on the matters of the former chairman of the Electoral Commission declaring alliance with M23, they called it the River Congo Alliance, something like that. They have called it River Congo Alliance. Of course, that means that the political leaders must encourage the leaders in Congo to address the grievances that are being raised. Because ultimately, security forces are a means to an end. We are not an end in itself. we create the environment, just like the agreement on the deployment of aircraft was to create an environment for a political process. That's what we had hoped for. And I still hope, as a Ugandan general, that our colleagues from SADC are coming to create the same conditions for a political process. Because it would be, in my view, wasting time to engage in a military confrontation without aiming at a political process to address the challenges that you have on the ground. And yes, we are monitoring, we are interested, but as you know, we are a tool of foreign policy. Fortunately, our foreign policy as a country is peaceful coexistence, Pan-Africanism, and regional integration. I believe I got it right, Honorable Minister. So for us as the Defense Forces, we defend that stand. And wherever we shall be deployed, we shall go in defense of those three I've mentioned: integration, Pan-Africanism, and peaceful coexistence.
Thank you very much, General. Honorable Semuju, I saw your reaction when Honorable Minister was speaking, and also when General Felix was speaking. What was that reaction, and also when you weigh in on the security of the country, what is your take on it, especially in hindsight of the conference and the summits coming up?
The NAM summit of 2019 was in Azerbaijan. Venezuela handed over the chairmanship to Azerbaijan. Many of these international meetings are rotational. They have nothing to do with international community having confidence in you. They were actually travel advisory against Azerbaijan at the time they are hosting this meeting. I think there are fewer things to celebrate in Uganda. That's why my senior brother, the Honorable Yomunsi, thinks that this meeting coming to Uganda is a vote of confidence by the international community. It has nothing to do with that. They are rotational, they will go everywhere, including where there are problems. So these meetings will take place. But it's a weakness. I remember when our president faced a lot of scrutiny from the international community about human rights in Uganda some time back. He flew to America, and immediately he landed. His people, at that time I was still in the media, his people told us that he landed at an airport reserved exclusively for American friends, until the American embassy had to issue a clarification that actually all the presidents who are going for meetings were landed at a military facility because it was easier to process them. So the celebration that this meeting is coming here is a vote of confidence. It will not be, because the standards are different. Just a few days ago, you had the Americans issuing another list of sanctions against individuals who are violating human rights, including, unfortunately, and I'll explain why, the Commissioner of Prisons, Commissioner General. Because all these armed people, these ones are number one, Kuraije and his group, they are number ones in violating rights, followed by police. The time I have been in the hands of prison, they were fantastic. I don't know why, and I am going to find out what Biabashaija did for him to be sanctioned. They should be sanctioning these Kuraiji one after another. They should be the one being put on the list, followed by police which has now been militarized. So you have your key security actors being sanctioned, and then you are saying, no, this meeting come here is a vote of confidence. Which vote of confidence? These meetings are rotational. They will go from here, they will go to another country, they will go to another, it is an opportunity for a country to host a meeting. And in Uganda, we should be happy that these meetings are coming here. But that opportunity depends on how you have processed it. You can have a meeting here and it ends in disaster, like when we had Chogam. Because immediately Chogam is ended, you have the vice president, former, is in Ruzira for participating in stealing Chogam money. Vice president. All the other ministers of foreign affairs, the Honorable Sam Mukutesa, I've forgotten the others, Honorable Nasasira, they had to go to court to use technicalities to survive because the IGG was supposed to take them where Kenya had gone. But they survived because the IGG had not been properly constituted. You had Rafael Baku as the deputy IGG prosecutor, and they said, no, the IGG must be there and appointed. So these meetings are an opportunity, very huge opportunity to market a country. And every country will fight to have these meetings because they bring so many people, and I agree with the Honorable Kajwenge, there will be cameras. We have just returned from Kigali with many MPs. And all MPs, including NRM MPs, they all admire Kigali. He said the part of Kigali is like Europe. And Kajwenge cannot say no.
No, I need to go there.
I say you cannot say no. I know you are knowledgeable. You've moved in these countries. So when you have a meeting, it's a huge opportunity to market a country. Unfortunately, we have bad-mannered people, NRM people. For them, it is an opportunity to steal the same way they were stealing during Chogam. We have been fighting in Parliament against the president, awarding, donating money to Sudil. Because you remember during Chogam, Sudil was given 12 billion to construct Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort, because Munyonyo is supposed to be two institutions now, separate. Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort, we were supposed to be a joint venture between Uganda and Sudil. When Sudil appeared in Parliament, he said, did I invite you to bring your money in a private business? And maybe I agree with him. I remember when they came back for the 100 billion, we asked them, please, can you present a share certificate that the first money that we put in Munyonyo, we co-own it. It is not there, but the president insisted, and we have just put, even in the recent supplementary, we have added more money to go and construct a facility at a private business. And I don't know, I will need someone to tell me that the president has no interest in Munyonyo. All roads going to Munyonyo must be done. If Sudil wants money, it must be provided. So the ministers, I know Chris doesn't know, but maybe someone who knows should tell me what personal interest does the president have in Munyonyo. So let me say once again, to have this meeting is a huge opportunity for Uganda to market our country. It's a huge opportunity for tourism if it is properly exploited. But to these NRM people, I have told you, I don't trust, because in the past they have been scavenging even on what should help the population. You remember we had ministers for health who were supposed to go. In fact, one of them was in Ruzira. For me, I was arrested for walking from Chireka. But we were in the same room, B2 in Maxon, for having a, I'm trying to find the polite word, but just stealing money for Gavi, money for Global Fund. So what ordinarily should be an opportunity for everybody is now messed up by actions of the individuals who are in government. Let me go to security, having said that. So I don't want anyone to forget that these meetings are rotational. You only celebrate because they provide an opportunity to market a country, especially to market your tourism. But that tourism you must also prepare yourself. We've been in Kigali. The roads are clean. They are fantastic. Roads in Uganda are bad. In Kampala, the other day when we were passing a budget, I told them, instead of giving the president so much money for his residence and other unnecessary expenditure, why don't we focus on doing roads in Kampala? Because just tell me a road in Kampala now that is in good shape. Roads have been broken, including in Kololo, where the president is Kololo, which the president has turned into his compound every day hosting meetings. Just below Kololo, the roads are broken. So you wonder whether this is a country that is preparing to have meetings in January, because these roads, you can't fix them in 2 weeks. So the guests are going to come to Uganda, huge opportunity to market a country, and we are going to be marketing potholes everywhere, all the roads here, movements here. Maybe we'll need to send everybody on a holiday such that there are no vehicles in Kampala. Or we need to restrict visitors from Entebbe to Munyonyo, and we don't allow them to come to the city. But then we'll have lost an opportunity as a country to market Uganda. I have told the friends who care to listen, ordinarily a human being, even when you wake up every day in the morning, the first thing you do is to wash your face. Everybody, you begin by washing your face. Which sort of a country is hosting meetings and the face is very dirty? All the roads in Kampala are dirty. They are broken down. Because even the security that you are talking about, many of these actors, the international actors, if they are visiting a country where they are not sure, they will supplement the domestic, the local security there, because they want to secure their leaders. They will be, courage may not tell you, but they will be behind the scenes meeting and assessing whether they should entrust Uganda to be in charge of their presidents, or they need to supplement. Remember, even Bashir came here, Bashir of Khartoum, and he was jamming communication in Kololo. The president was quarreling over photographs, and they said, no, but Bashir had jammed the communication, just one president coming here. So when you are hosting a president, it's not that you are hosting ordinary beings. You're hosting people who can take care of their own security, who can supplement. But for me, yes, we can provide a budget, we can prepare ourselves, but I think preparation needs to go beyond drills by courage and police. We need to prepare in all aspects. Otherwise, these meetings will come here and we'll keep remembering the bad things about them, like we do for Chogam. There are fewer good things we remember about Chogam. Even when you Google Uganda's Chogam, you are going to have ministers and vice presidents stealing money and going to prison. So I really hope in the remaining days, I am not sure that we can fix roads in Kampala for these meetings. Maybe we need to restrict our guests to Munyonyo and maybe Serena there, so that they don't see how unprepared we are as a country. Our face is not washed, but we are welcoming guests in Kampala.
Honorable, the security part, you have given us the history there, but the security part, with ADF, with all these attacks, these incidents, how can we prepare better to secure?
The ADF, I don't think, will come and attack a meeting like this. Really. A meeting in Munyonyo. Even you may, journalists, to access it is not going to be ordinary. The threat of ADF may be in terms of giving bad publicity, but these meetings are going to be secure. I've told you, in any country, whether it is Venezuela, whether it is Azerbaijan, they are all able to secure these meetings because all the resources, all the security resources available are going to be deployed, and sometimes you can even request other countries to help you. So when Qatar was hosting World Cup, they actually requested British to be in charge of security. I don't think Uganda is going to ask any other country, but they may also receive because they work in partnership with other countries. So I am not worried that we will not secure this country. I am only worried that we may not get the benefits of hosting these meetings, and maybe the only propaganda value of saying now Uganda, the international community has confidence in Uganda. You can see the Minister for Communication, that's the first thing he thinks is more important, instead of talking about how we can use these meetings to market our tourism. Him is looking at the NRM politics. He's president who is isolated for staying in power for life. He thinks now it's an opportunity to cleanse him, that, I don't know, you can go and shout, but our president is still have the Orov. So, yes, we have capacity as a country to secure these meetings. I'm not one of those who are worried.
Thank you.
And I don't want to be bad
So the
mannered,
NRM
but I
government has capacity.
even under Amin we had OAU here. That's why I said, Chris, you should be very careful when you are celebrating meetings. Idi Amin had OAU here and even completed the Serena, which is now Serena, Nair Hotel. So international meetings will go everywhere, including in Uganda of Amin, who was verified by everybody. He had meetings here.
Thank you very much, Honorable Semuju. Professor, as a Ugandan layman, us who would like to
But
move around.
You can't say university professor, head of
Yeah,
a
no.
department is a layman.
I disagree also.
You even called her earlier that ordinary Ugandan. This is not an ordinary Ugandan.
She's not ordinary.
Yeah.
Professor, when you look at our movement around, the honorables could have security, general could have security, the honorable minister could have, you and I could just drive around this city. Do you feel secure? Especially with the speakers conference, the twin summits coming in, do you feel secure?
Yeah, thank you very much, Timothy, and good evening, our viewers, and condolences for those people who, for the families of the people who lost their lives. The question is, when we move around, we feel secure. I think in a way, yes. And I say yes in comparison to other places we have been to. There are places you go to and you cannot leave. Even during the daytime, you cannot leave your hotel to go to the gardens. There is a problem there. Sometimes the daytime is okay, but you cannot leave in the night and move around. So Kampala, by the way, it is also termed East Africa's social capital, because people happen the whole night,
Yes.
which is also another danger that will over happen. So I think in a way, Kampala is secure. Uganda is fairly secure. People feel secure. I think that's why they behave and do the things they do. Of course, there is need to strengthen security from the petty thieves. Those ones, people do suffer that every day. Of course, once in a while we've heard about panga wielding people. So there is a danger with that. But if you ask for it in the view of the summits, first of all, I know my neighbor has just said these celebrations are not just, they are not great achievements. I mean that a meeting like this has come. But the mere fact that ever since we joined in 64, we are getting the chairmanship of, for example, the non-aligned movement. Because they are not just coming because they are coming, but also that the chairmanship has come to that country. I think it is very important and it's worth noting. I know we are not talking about the big meetings, but also there are also small meetings which are occurring, which are not NAM, which are not G77 or China Summit. I know in that week, maybe from the 18th to 19th, we also have an international conference of academics in Makerere. People are coming from all over. So there are those small things, but it is really a confidence that actually people feel that this is a very good destination for a conference. And also when people come for conferences of this nature, I don't know how the NAMs and the rest are valued, but for the others we participate in, it is not just that people are coming to talk academically about things. They also come for what else is occurring against around the workshop. Can they go downtown and shop easily? Can they go out in the night and dance? Can they go to the pub and drink? Will they be able to see the gorillas? And all those kinds of things. So it's not just the conference per se. The choice of conferences, I don't know how these ones were bidded for, but I know also when we bid for other conferences, you bid with the whole package. It's not just the fact that you can convene people. They also look at things like your transport system and things like that. So to your question, do we feel secure? Yes. But we can do better, because there are those of us who we live with who always want to take what others have. I think that's a problem. But with regard to the summit, I think we can also improve. You don't want guests to come and lose their things around here. And maybe this is where we could go. I don't know whether I can go into the topic as you set it. First of all, as you said, the nationals should feel guaranteed of security. So we feel secure and everyone should feel secure, including those who experience, who live in areas where they may experience these kinds of disturbances. So that is a problem. But I also think one way to improve security, those who are in charge of security know how they're going to secure these meetings. But I also thought that there would be time to sensitize people about these conferences so that people own them. These conferences are not just for the so many heads of state who are coming in and they jet in and they go. I know while the heads of state are going to be very secured by the Brigadier Courageous, they are those they are going to come with who want to be happy. So that is very important. So I think one way to make this worthwhile is how much publicity is going to the country about these events. How much are they securing people's buy-in about these events? So that the people are very welcoming about these events. I remember when we used to be young and conferences of this nature came in the country, you know, people lined in the streets, people would be happy that this has occurred. They would be wanting to sell this, they would be wanting to sell the other. Of course, maybe now times have changed. Maybe I've grown old and I'm no longer seeing these things. But the issue is, can we get people's buy-in? I'm also one who, maybe because I'm not a security person, who believes that the first line of defense against criminality are the people. So the security forces come in and guarantee security, and because they are hovering around, people know that there are consequences of misbehavior. But I think the first people, and I remember there used to be a lot of this sensitization when we were being sensitized against terrorism. And they were saying the biggest weapon against terrorism are your eyes. And they used to give a pair of eyes. What did you see? What do you note that is irregular? Who have you seen who is behaving in an irregular manner? So if we own these conferences and the people, and we all appreciate it, and the people believe they're the first line of defense, I think it would be great. So that's why we need to bring people on board, not just as a nuisance who have to be pushed away, but as people who, these are our guests, this is our event, and can we find a way of everyone coming on board? And maybe there's another component, because we've over discussed security, we've not gone into the logistics management. One way you can make people belong to these kinds of conferences is to ensure that they also benefit something from there. So are they going to be able to sell? And now this maybe goes back to Honorable Chris Bariomunsi. How much data have they collected in terms of supplying foodstuffs, supplying crafts, supplying, I don't know what are the tour operators offering, what are the food vendors offering those. One thing people actually are happy about when they come to Uganda is that they eat a pineapple which is sweet, and that this pineapple is peeled on the street and you eat it. I never thought it was such a great thing because I don't do that. But I know some people come to this country and they're very excited by that. So who is on board in terms of the supply chain management of these things and the whole value chain? Who is going to be on board? How are they being prepared and sensitized? I know there are a few days and we can't bring everybody on board, but those who can be brought on board, how are they being sensitized? How are they, if it's terms of quality standards, how are they being helped to improve what they are going to offer so that our people our visitors get good value for money? But I think bottom line, security begins with us. And can we bring everybody on board to appreciate these conferences? Because it's true, actually having a conference in your country of this nature is a vote of confidence in your systems and in your... Of course, back end, the security experts will know where they have gaps and they will know who they work with to fill those gaps. We don't know that. But I think just coming is a vote of confidence that it will actually go well. So those in charge of security should provide more. But Ugandans and Kampalans, they are just a happening people. Maybe that's a sign that even when you're drunk and you're staggering on your way home, you'll arrive. If that's if that is an indicator of security, I think so.
And I'm glad you hinted on logistics, and that's where I want to be able to, before we take a break. Already the repairs that are happening in the areas of Munyonyo, down here Mukwano roundabout, is a nightmare to be able to cut through the city. We know that if the president is in Kolo like he was today, that whole area is cordoned off. When he goes to Munyonyo and these conferences are happening, that area is cordoned off. From Lukuli to Maki Indie, that whole area, Bunga, Nsoya, Kansanga, is suffering. How do we manage this logistical challenge without really making the economy suffer at the hands of one conference and 2 summits?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. For me, I thought it was actually a blessing in disguise that the roads are being made. And I thought, actually, that's where one of the reasons I've been very grateful that the conferences are coming, the summits are coming. Because if they were not coming, we would be here debating the potholes. But now that they are coming, the money has been found. And KCC has been given money and has been charged. I know today I was held up in a very terrible traffic jam on the northern bypass before you get onto the express highway. But at least I knew the road is being done, okay? So we are being inconvenienced this week, maybe also next week and the other, but at least by the time the guests come, the roads will be perfect. And when they go, they are leaving behind the road.
Professor, you are disappointed. So which roads do you think are going to be done in 2 weeks?
Well, I've seen some that have been covered on the part of the stretch of the bypass that I passed. I haven't been to the others, but I think let's be hopeful. For me, I would rather, now that the money has been found, I would rather they are charged so that they work day and night and the roads are done. That's better than the gaping potholes we've been having, okay? And for me, that's my point, that even after the summit, the road, and by the way, they're being filled with tarmac, they're not being filled with soil. So the tarmac, maram. So yeah, sometimes just soil. So when a trailer goes in and the thing just takes this angle, but these ones are being filled with maram. So those are our practical realities. That a few months ago or a few weeks ago, we were here debating why there is no, how the KCCA budget for roads is so small that they just have to do patchwork. So right now they are doing roads. It is also, of course, we know that they are doing roads where they think the visitors will pass. But at least that part will be done, okay? And then they should also think of probably the following years improving the other side of the road. So that will be done. So the inconvenience is there. And the bit of where I said that people should be brought on board, I think it is not good that each time these events occur, people are inconvenienced and they are chased away. And I hope this time they will not be chased away. And that's why I was thinking that if people can be made part and parcel of these events, and they are part of the logistics and the supply and everything like that, I know it may not be achieved for now, but it's a thinking we have to begin taking. It is a direction we have to begin taking. To know that actually when these summits come, people should not just see the cars came and the cars went. They need to know how do we benefit from that. Not everyone may benefit, but there's need for data. I know there are people who benefit, but we discuss like this because we are never available with the data of how many Ugandans made sales, okay? How many Ugandans, how much money came into the economy. It's because we don't know. But if this data begins being made available, then as citizens we shall demand that, okay, the other time only the crafts people got, this time make sure that also the pineapple sellers get, and then we shall debate. Otherwise, without that kind of data, everything we deal with is just hypothetical.
Thank you very much. I want to take a quick break because we come back to discuss both security and logistics when we look at how the movement and the traffic flow will be in this country, but also something that Honorable Semuju hinted on, will there be supplementary security from the different dignitaries coming to this country? This and more after this break.
Meet Stone Atwine, the co-founder of Eversend, a startup that is building financial technology from Uganda to the world. From currency exchange to business banking, Stone and his team are doing it all. Stone embodies the grit and the commitment to take a startup from nothing to something. Stone, keep building. You are unstoppable. MTN, the Unstoppable Network, celebrates you. Download the Eversend app and together, let's support Ugandans like Stone who are driving our country's unstoppable progress.
Neto Bus Industries, Namamve, the manufacturers of buses for transporters, schools, tour operators, and special purpose vans. Neto Bus Industries offers a range of buses known for safety, comfort, and reliability. Depending on your needs, a bus can simply be a point A to point B people mover with just seats, or a special design that includes power outlet, Wi-Fi, television, refreshment center, and any other specification. buy your buses from Metu and support industrialization of Uganda. Contact us on 0788 118586 or 0782 030303. Email us metuafricabus@gmail.com. Visit our website www.metubusafrica.com.
When it is KB o'clock, you need more from your voice bundles. That's why MTN is offering you more minutes across all networks that don't expire. Buy the new 90-minute Freedom Bundle at 5K or the 200-minute bundle at 10K and Jazz with no limit. Katiteri ate, no excuses. Make the call now. Dial *100*21# or use the My MTN app and enjoy your Freedom Bundle today. MTN. Together we are unstoppable. Terms and conditions apply. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret? Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM? Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk. No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving. Juko. I thought I was one of your friends. You are. But you left me behind. I didn't leave you in poverty. What? Just visit your C2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Mukoke Fish Farmers Association tuli balunzi ba byananda ebyebika ebisatu omuli Miracup, tilapia oba engege ni catfish twete male. Group eno twatandika twali abantu basatu nga tulingirira obwetaavu obwebyenanda obwo bwiva eno okubona nti tufuna kasente akava mu maadi agali gatambula butambule nga gatubita ku wano ng'ekirabo. Twatandika ni fish pond ndala mu mwaka gw'2018. Twebaza fisheries officer ni district ya Bugiri babanga batulagirira kusaani fish farm ebwikwe inside day dinde twabanga tusobola okufuna kwetusaako obugege obwasooka era mu mwaka gwali 2020 awo basobola okuba nga batuwaayo ebyenanda emitwalo dali yena okuva mu operation where creation era okuba yongereza emere yatuweebwa okuva eyuga kitwe breeders. Twasobola okuba nga tusoloza akasente akawerera obukaire nga 42. Twasobola okuba nga tuinvestinga oba okubona nti twongerezaako ku bimu ku bintu bye tukola gano. Baza government yaife okuba nga buli saawa efaayo okuba nga efeeri y'Abannayuganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
One thing that there are things they must look out for. Facilities.
Welcome back from that quick commercial break. Even off air, the conversation continues. This is Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso, and we're discussing the security and the logistics of the Speakers Conference and the twin summits there. Let me read some of your feedback before I engage my panel here. Brian says, concerning the effectiveness of security, the UPDF has totally failed to curb the insurgency and the terrorism in the west of Uganda. They say they are able, but a while back we heard of deaths due to rebels, yet we were well funded. Why wait to compensate while there is elimination? Okay. Ben from Seta, some Ugandans are the problem in Uganda. How can a minister say the killings in Western Uganda are just small things that can be managed? Okay. Jen Hope says, personally, I think our army is capable enough to keep us safe, both internally and at the border. But right now, our question as Ugandans is, how safe are we from international attacks? Because you cannot rule that possibility out. Mivule Ronald says, the biggest challenge we face as a country is focusing and paying a lot of attention to negativity. The next submission by Honorable Semuju was good. We shall accrue from the twin summits, as he ended his submission there. Musunga James from Manafa says, has Uganda reached a level of having first-class citizens, an economy, or roads that are insecure is terrible, as caused by the first class, who demand the first right way, income insecurity, as caused by the exploitive parliament, which cannot afford to provide for themselves the 600 million there. Mzei Simbwa from Nakaseke district says, how is the UPDF concerned with M23 destabilizing the DRC? As if meeting M23 fighters in DRC forces, which side does the UPDF lean to? Ogola William in Tororo. I'm happy today to hear from various security personnel, but the biggest problem we are having is selfishness, individualism among security people, in brackets he puts corruption. Keep your messages coming. I will be answering some of those towards the end of the show, and the panel will be giving some responses to those that are there. Honorable Minister, let me come to you. I know there's some things you'd like to respond to, but let me put the logistical question to you. Especially looking at 120 heads of state coming into this country, with the delegation they'll be coming into. Looking at also the Southern Summit there, having about 134 countries. The Speakers Conference, having about 30 speakers coming into this country. The logistical nightmare, both at the airport and in the roads of Kampala. How is that going to be possible? With us also having an economy where we're getting back to work come January.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, the Honorable Semuju is a distinguished member of parliament who attends international meetings, and he knows getting an opportunity to host such meetings doesn't just fall from heaven. There is a lot of footwork, a lot of lobbying and diplomatic work that has to be done. So it is not true that they are merely rotational. So you sit here in Uganda and somebody says we shall host NAM in 2024, Uganda, you are taking this road. No, there is a lot of work which goes on in terms of lobbying. Otherwise, you would say maybe they follow alphabetical order. You check the countries which have hosted. I think Uganda is like the 6th country since NAM was established. It has been South Africa, it has been Nigeria, Egypt, and a few others. So it is not true that the hosting this kind of conference is a sign of confidence. It's a sign of confidence. They look at issues of security. They look at the positions you take in international meetings. They also look at the facilities which are available, and then that's why they choose and agree to host the.
But Chris, if you can allow me to ask.
Yes.
Just to
Please
the parameters you have given.
Yes.
If they look at facilities, we would never have hosted CHOGM. Because you remember, after accepting that CHOGM will be in Uganda, the construction of everything started.
No, for they look at what you have, and then they say, yes, by this time, maybe we need additional ABC. Like we have won the tender for AFCON, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. They have looked at what we have, and we have given them assurance that by the time we host the AFCON, we shall have added the ABCD. So it doesn't mean that in Uganda there is nothing. They come and look at the infrastructure that's available, and then they say maybe you add this, and that's why we come to Parliament to bring budgetary proposals, pass money to build some of these things like repairing the roads, expanding Munyonyo, the airport, and
but
many others.
Today we have zero.
Others.
That's why the national team is playing in Algeria.
Just hold on. So that's why, for instance, NAM is not in Somalia. In Somalia.
Or Chad.
Or Chad, if it was a question of just rotating. Have you had it in some of those countries? So there are parameters which they look at, and when you qualify, then you host. So they looked at some of the infrastructure that we have. And indeed, we have put money to expand some of these infrastructures and also do repairs. I think we should not be mourning or worried about the repairs. The English say you have to break an egg in order to get an omelette. Yes, the repairs of the roads in and around Kampala are an inconvenience, but eventually we shall get better roads after they have been repaired. And I think by the time we host the conferences, a big section of the roads will have been done. But even if there are roads which will not be ready, they will be completed, and in any case they are staying here for all of us Ugandans. So let's bear with the inconvenience caused by the repairs. In any case, it will be us who will benefit from these good roads. So in terms of logistics, yes, we are getting big delegations, high-profile people. Like the reason why we have put money in Munyonyo is that we are constructing, how do you call it?
Convention
center.
Yes.
And we have shares in Munyonyo, which we bought during the times of CHOGM. It is not true that we just donate money to Mr. Sudiri or Munyonyo. The Minister of Finance holds our shares, sits on the board of the company, and even when we add more money, we are not just donating. So the question of whether President Yoweri Museveni has personal interests, he's not, have you seen him sleeping in Munyonyo or what? No. It is us, Parliament, that passed the money to go and build the convention center and the construction. I know you have Museveni phobia. You can't talk without wanting to bring in the president. But the construction going on in Munyonyo is not Museveni's house. It's a convention center which we shall be using because we have shares in those properties there in Munyonyo. Like during CHOGM, we did give money and they constructed presidential suites which are going to be used by the president. So there should be no cause for alarm. We have accredited a number of hotels that will accommodate all these delegates. We shall provide enough security personnel, both uniformed and non-uniformed. We shall have enough protocol officers to guide and support all these delegates. And in terms of logistics, yes, we shall be ready. We are going to test whoever comes for COVID because we also mindful of the health concerns. We discussed this and agreed, but without inconveniencing the delegates, we shall be testing them regularly for COVID so that nobody falls sick, because you see COVID is still there, although the cases are down, but we took that decision, and we should be able to have a successful conference.
Honorable Minister.
And to answer what somebody was saying, that I didn't downplay the killings of people in the Western Uganda, but I said there is no cause for panicking. What happened in Kamwenge, these were 4 marauders with the pangas that just went for a soft target, people who were in a bar late at night, and those who were keeping their crops against the monkeys, and just hacked them to death. It's unfortunate, and we convey condolences, but you see these kind of attacks. The point I was making that we should not be worried as a country that maybe these pang-wielding ADFs will come and cut the Bazungu who will be in the meeting in Munyonyo. No. But of course, we must be mindful of security concerns, especially in those areas which are neighboring the DRC. So I hope the person who sent the message will not go and sleep in the bush tonight simply because there were those deaths and he's worried. That's the point I was making. That they will be contained. So the deaths are unfortunate, but the situation will be contained.
Honorable Minister, the logistical question.
Yes.
Traffic plans there is a big population that stays in the, I should call it the southern end, Bunga, Munyonyo.
Yes, there will be a detailed traffic plan which will be designed and communicated to the public so that the guests, the delegates, are able to freely access the conference venue and move, but also enable our citizens also to move. We shall not imprison them in their homes. There will be routes which will be announced, and we call upon the population to receive the guests with the happiness and the hospitality we always show as Ugandans. Like we have argued in these talk shows, that this is not an NRM issue or a government issue, it's an issue for Uganda. So, Honorable Semuju, for once, we call upon you to be patriotic. Say, these are guests of the country. Absolutely, to be.
You see, Chris,
these are guests for the country.
When you beat your children at home,
yes,
and then you tell them to smile for the guests, they will not. First stop the bad manners of beating and arresting people, then we will collectively receive the guests when we are all smiling.
Because NAM is being hosted at G77 plus China, these conferences, we are hosting them as Uganda.
Absolutely.
We are showcasing Uganda. Our differences notwithstanding. So our appeal is that we should put in abeyance our partisan politics, whether I'm NRM, your opposition, and so forth, and receive the guests and show the hospitality that will mark how a Ugandan looks like.
Honorable Minister, is Kabalega International Airport going to be receiving some of these delegates?
I am not certain that we will be very ready for this conference. It is almost complete, but I have to cross-check with the people of civil aviation.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure whether it will be ready to receive the huge planes to land there.
Will Entebbe be competent to handle this delegation of people?
Oh yes, Entebbe has been expanded, and a lot of infrastructure engineering has been done. Like if you have traveled recently, do you travel? Or you are very local that you don't move? Like now when you land in the plane, at first we had the worry, how will the VIPs be able to access the VIP room, for instance? But there has been a lot of configuration where you get out of the plane, get the bridge, and you reach the VIP without any inconvenience. So a lot of work has been done. The airport is being expanded. I was actually passed there yesterday. I was coming from London. And I'm sure by the time of the summits, they should have done, if not all the work, but
by the NRM standards, they have done something.
Yes, they have.
By their standards.
They have, yes, they have. I don't know whether you have toured the works going on at the airport.
You can see, you don't even have to tour.
No.
Yeah. So these
How
meetings,
do you see
these meetings that are starting on
no, you
just
have not toured.
in 2-3
I know
weeks.
you have traveled, but you just go through, but you get time I will sponsor you one tour.
No, I have said, Chris, by your standards, you are doing very well.
Yes,
because
we are
even in
doing very
Chogam,
well.
you remember paint hard and dried, and then you are asking journalists to go and sleep in one of those hotels in the campaign. Remember the stories in the foreign media.
Wait the
stories after this meeting.
Honorable Minister, before I come to the
so
Honorable...
the airport, so one of the benefits we are getting from this that we have voted money and we used this opportunity of the summits to expand our infrastructure, to repair the infrastructure, and one of the beneficiaries is the airport, which is being expanded.
How do you plan to handle some of these PR things that are going around? Honorable Semuju spoke about a travel advisory, a UK alert that came in. How do you plan to handle such media reports that come in that could hinder some of our delegates from coming?
Well, of course, those advisories are coming mainly because of the anger some of those countries have because of the law we passed in the parliament on the anti-homosexuality law. They're just hiding under that to give all those travel advisories. But we are also engaging both locally and internationally to explain. And we believe that even judging from what's going on, those advisories are not going to significantly affect the travels into Uganda, both for the summits but also the tourists and people who visit. Because some of those are just scaring, but people cross-check these facts. For instance, when you say, don't come to Uganda, it is risky, it is insecure, people don't rely on that advisor alone. They have other means of cross-checking. Is it actually insecure to be in Uganda? And they find...
information, Honourable Minister.
Yes.
The time when the US issued the last advisory, there was a terrorist attack in Belgium. But there was no advisory against Belgium.
Against Belgium.
Let me come to you,
okay. So we shall continue to engage those countries which are issuing the advisories, but also we have a mechanism in the international community to communicate and clarify a number of things. So and we are going to intensify that PR and communication going forward as we prepare for the summits.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Wilson, coming to you, also internal affairs falls in your docket. When we come to that, there has been numerous messages going around of panga-wielding gangs around. As a member of parliament, is this a concern, and how does it restore confidence in our security agencies?
Thank you. I think, first of all, let me first put some facts right. Since 1961, when we had the first summit of NAM, and from its inception up to today, it was never meant to be rotational. It is not. We have had, this is going, the Kampala one of 2024 is going to be the 19th summit of NAM. And before you host, certainly, you have to be at the core of the ideological balance of the NAM from its establishment, objective, and where it is going. Two, Honorable Semuju said what we can remember about Chogam is the arrests. While I agree with him, I think fighting corruption should be a war waged 24/7, whether visitors are in or they are not. So if somebody did something wrong, visitors notwithstanding, he should be punished. I think that's right. Two, and very important, travel advisories. Again, why do we forget the history of non-aligned movement? There is no way that the other parties, the other forces will allow you to flourish all the time. Travel advisories with or without non-aligned movement goes on. It's held and showcases the member states, the member states for that case. Let me come to the internal security dynamics. Panga wielding, or Miteimba for that case. These are wrongdoers. They are first and foremost our children. They are our relatives. And we manage security wherever such incidences have come up. our security forces have always contained them. And when the NLM government comes up with pro-people programs like parish development model, like youth entrepreneurship fund, like for women, for example, these programs are meant to address, to percolate down and address the needs of people who should not be left out of the economy. The parish development model is meant to address the needs of the 39% of the non-moneyed economic people. Now, so they agree, if they have grievances, it is incumbent upon us as leaders, as policy makers, first of all, to find out why would one have a panga. Is it sheer criminality? Is it theft or lack of something? And the government that listens, that I proudly subscribe to and belong to, listens to that and keeps addressing them. That, having said that, of course there are wrong people in society. And security forces internally have always been containing them. And that cannot be a scare. You need to know that, for example, the Republic of South Africa, I'm trying to use countries on the continent, is the most visited country on the continent. Do you need to find out how insecure that country is? So we should always put to the fore our best, and the best for Uganda is the warmth of our people, the flora and fauna, the fruits, the weather, the sheer greenery that it cannot be found anywhere. And that, so wrong people will always exist, but that should not stop us. And I can assure you that I am confident that our security forces internally will contain the panga wielding, will also contain those who want to destabilize from outside. The logistic part of it, all that is what in diplomatic parlance we call protocol. I am confident that by 3rd to 6th, all the apparatuses will have done what we call a dry.
Of which month, which year?
Of January 2024.
Yeah, the things are going to be okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I can assure you, Honorable.
Which dates did you say, Honorable?
Yes. So
which dates did you say?
Huh?
3rd.
3rd.
Yeah.
Third.
Today is 20th.
We have the speakers' conference from the 3rd to the 6th.
From 3rd to 6th. And then onwards. That's why from my opening remarks I said the whole of January, the Republic of Uganda, the power of Africa shall be on spotlight, international. And let me tell you, it is the rarest opportunity that every Ugandan has, believe you me, to project our country as the best, because it is the best that we have.
Thank you very much, Honorable. General Kulaije, when we look at security, we have the police, we have the army, we have different facets. How is coordination going to happen with all these security?
We have Chiboko Squad.
I didn't mention that one, but
I think that one is housed in
how is the coordination? How is the coordination of these security agencies so that there is no clashing, there is no misinformation going out there? How is it going to work, and who is going to be at the forefront of ensuring the coordination of security?
Before I answer your question, I wanted to pick from, first it was brought by Professor, and my colleagues have also brought it out. The endowment Uganda has, that every Ugandan should be able to sell something. She talked about the pineapple. I can tell you, I'll go up to ground nuts. Some of you are bringing out opportunities.
Yeah, but
and you know, for me, you see, security is not an end. I'm keeping you safe so that you make money.
Absolutely.
And I'm pointing out things that are so simple as groundnuts, as sweet bananas, that this country produces, and that is why you can't find them. I remember we had the the UK National Defence College visiting. And they're all going for Bogoya because that's what they are used to. So I interested them in the small bananas. I said, General, please test this. I wish I had not done it. Because in 2 minutes, 3 clusters were finished. Because whoever ate one would say, oh my God, it is so sweet. They had never tasted a fresh, ripe banana that does not have fertilizers, that has not spent days in the fridge.
That is organic.
That's organic. And these are things a local Ugandan can sell. For me, that's where I'm going. Because you're talking about interesting the local community in these conferences, and I agree with that 100%. So, what are they benefiting from this conference as ordinary Ugandans? That's where I had started from. Now I can come to your question. As you are aware, this is not the first major conference I've hosted. The difference, these are 3. In one. It's huge. Even the OAU does not come near this. This is huge. But there is coordination.
Second to the UN General Assembly.
Yes. There is, we do coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. There must be one command center. And to be manned by the heads of these security agencies or their representatives. 2, there are plans made or drawn, from which plans we issue orders to the operating forces. So we don't worry about our coordination. We don't suffer from superiority complex because we know who is senior to who in terms of security agencies. It's army, police, prisons. Very clear. You see them even when they stand on functions or receiving the head of state, how they stand. That's the seniority. We don't have to debate it, we know it. But what is important? Coordination, collaboration, cooperation. Because you do not want anybody to exploit a gap. It's alleged, I'm not so sure, that September 11 was because of rivalry of the security agencies. This one receives information they don't share. I hear, I'm not so sure about it, but I've heard it. And that's the last thing we want to do. We have had, I think, the biggest assembly of heads of states was 2011, when we had a swearing in here in Kololo, besides the summits. I mean, when you have Bashir coming, I don't know you have who else you have. It was something that would have been a nightmare. Or Chogam itself, from the Queen to name anybody who came who was part of the Commonwealth. There were big conferences. But you noticed, security was there. What is important is the mindset. And for me, that's where everything starts from. Because you will plan so thoroughly. But if your actors do not have the correct mind towards their job, certainly they will be messed. But 3, the security concerns we have are because of what you're quoting from Chibale, Kasese. But you have petty criminals, as the professor put it, in Kampala. For me, those ones I worry about. Those who grab pass, handbag and run away. The last thing you want is a visitor to lose his passport because the bag has been taken in Kampala. That's the last thing you want, because that's an embarrassment on the country. You see, for me, the bottom line
but
is...
But many of those work with you, so they are easy to mobilize by government.
Oh boy. Okay. I will assume I will not have it.
They work with you.
No, you have had.
They work with who?
With you, government. With security.
So you know them?
Yes, I know them.
Then you help us.
You are not around when they are beating us.
You help us to apprehend them.
They work with you.
Did they take your phone?
Even this Sobi who died was working with you.
So as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by Honorable Semuju. We need to be, you know, it's like when visitors are coming, you brought the analogy of visitors. When visitors are coming to your home,
don't beat children.
Fine, don't beat children, but even the children who are stubborn,
they will be smiling.
Even the children who are stubborn.
But when you beat them and say smile,
you rain in
that
on
smile.
Them. So they receive these visitors with respect. As a country, this is an opportunity not only to save the country, but even to save what we can. For me, that's where I'm going. By the end of the 3 conferences, how much will you have made you as a Ugandan? This is my question.
The trickle down.
The trickle down effect.
Yeah.
And that way, you feel you have a share in this summit. Because there is something coming in your pocket. So as we are doing security for the bigger things, you, Honorable Samuju, who is a leader in Ichira, what sensitization are you giving to your voters about these summits?
General, you talk about a trickle-down effect, but these places are cordoned off. The bananas you were talking about, that person cannot access that place.
Oh, you think they will be in the conference center all the days they are going to be here?
Even the workshops are in designated places.
Absolutely.
They're not going to come to Uganda Road.
They move out.
They will come.
They will come. I assure you. I've been to similar conferences that you see the opportunities you get. They actually arrange for you to move out. They arrange for you to do shopping. These are real.
They will come and buy crafts and buy things Uganda need.
A home that is not visited, children don't even pride in it. Now leave alone adults who have something where they will get money from. Like I've told you, I pride in spending a sleepless night knowing the people I'm protecting are actually resting to work tomorrow for their pockets, for their homes.
Finally, General, how do you, something that Honorable Samuju hinted on, supplementary security. Some of these dignitaries and heads of state are going to come with their own security. What coordination happens there?
During the break, I did tell you the experience in South Africa.
Yes.
Right? For a case, Special Forces Command is in charge of VIPs. All right? They have a center, a control center, where every VIP that comes, his or her security reports. And they work together to ensure that the VIP with these people is safe and secure. But the bare minimum for this visiting security is to ensure that their VIP is safe, secure, leaves the country safely back to his own country or her own country. So they need indeed coordinate with special forces. That's number one. Number two, you also want to control the tools of violence that are going to be in the conference area. Otherwise, should any small sound happen, you can have a bloodbath. Because everybody will draw the gun without even knowing where the thing has happened from. So normally they will do what you would call, he was mentioning about a dry run. When they come, they go into the procedures that will be taken to secure their VIPs. Where they have questions, they ask them and the questions are answered. In other words, you have a thorough coordination, but at different levels, handling with different aspects. We have specialized groups that will handle specialized functions or purposes. And overall, intelligence will be doing its work to ensure that any threat is identified ahead of time and diffused. Then you have the regional coordination. When you have such a level of summits, you want to coordinate with Kenya, with Tanzania, with Ethiopia, with the South Sudan, on matters of security. What is intelligence speaking from there? What is intelligence speaking from here? And indeed, there are a number of some international terrorists that have been nipped in the bud when we have such a conferences because of the collaboration with the region.
Thank you very much, General. Honorable Samuju, I saw your different reactions to the responses, so I wanted to start on the logistical question.
No, my problem.
He reacts negatively before even you say anything.
We are oversimplifying the business of marketing a country by looking at Indizi and Nanans and government. Ask yourself, and I have said this many times, very beautiful country, there is no question about it. Why do people visit Dubai that doesn't produce groundnuts, pineapple, and the smaller banana?
I will tell you. You want an answer?
And smaller banana that Felix was serving is the Genos.
You want me to tell you why you visit Dubai?
No, I didn't want to, but we will have an opportunity to say so.
Okay, sir.
You see, countries invest in themselves, those that have visited. I look at the most visited cities every year, at least when it comes out. either New York, Tokyo. But the most interesting member of that best 10, the most visited 10, has been Istanbul. They said when they were number 7, we want to be number 5. What do we need to do? Let's now begin medical tourism. It's what government will do. When I just started going out of the country, I was still working at Monitor. One of the things that struck me in Iran is that I was prepared for 2 days that we were going to visit a live museum, only to find there snakes that we beat in my village. But for 2 days we are being prepared. Live museum, live museum, live museum. Then we go, and what was in the live museum was snakes of green something. I grew up in a village where we were beating them. So the preparation that goes into marketing a country sometimes is beyond the set of incompetent individuals that this government keep employing. Some, I'm not saying all of them. The other day I remember there was a debate in Parliament. At that time Moses Ari was the Minister for Tourism. And the Honorable Margaret Zua, who was chairing a committee of Parliament, said they had visited the website of Uganda and the only content was Moses Ari and a picture of a chimpanzee. He said, really, how? This is on the answer of Parliament, I'm not lying. And I'm talking about people who are still there. You can
Yes,
ask
they are
Margaret
both
Zua.
living.
You remember when I visited the stall in Dubai, they said those who reported about it had exaggerated. And I tended to buy the explanation. But people who photographed Uganda at the
Dubai
Expo, you remember the stories here. So the trouble with Chris and his group, and I'm using Chris because he's here with us,
I am not complaining.
is that sometimes you don't deploy the necessary human resource to do work. And as a result, you mess up even something that ordinarily should be a very good thing. I said, and I want to repeat, the opportunity to host any meeting to a country is a very big opportunity. But you process it. You saw Qatar when they are hosting World Cup. I was in South Africa when they were preparing for the World Cup. They had said the amount of money, they were looking at the guests, did some calculations, that the amount of money they invested in hosting South Africa, in hosting World Cup 2010, their projection was that the World Cup will bring less than half of what they are going to put in. But cumulatively, people are going to come and see South Africa who will come back in many years. That's why, by the way, I supported Uganda Airline, and I'm one of the supporters.
Thank you.
Because I'm not looking at the money that Uganda Airline is going to make just as a company. I'm looking at the opportunity that it brings to a country to have a national carrier. So these meetings, unfortunately, that's why you see other people go and even hire people from elsewhere. We have a very big meeting. How do we benefit from this meeting? They hire consultants. Even on the day you have visitors coming, you may even go to South Africa to hire ushers that we are not sure that the Ugandans will give us what we want. So that's a message that I pass to people who are in government. And I'm not doing this in bad faith. Knowing your performance and your standards increase, I worry when you have a meeting like this. Because in the past we have made mistakes, serious mistakes. That we have that cabinet subcommittee which Bukenya was chairing during Chogam. Their frame was about how much money do we make from this meeting. I should be the one to supply vehicles, I should be the one to supply this. That's why a meeting as good as that ended up being a mess. So I really hope, first of all, there are opportunities that were missed.
The meeting was successful. Did it fail? Did the meeting fail?
I said it was a mess. Here, it depends on where I stand from. So these meetings, I hope that they had happened at the time when the city is beautiful. I have kept telling this story many times. We are on a flight with the presidential advisor, my friend, Moses Biarang. an old air hostess on KLM, Dutch. She said, I am going to Kilimanjaro for my Christmas. And Ruhanga was fighting so much to make sure that instead of Kilimanjaro, she visits Uganda. And he said, Uganda is a nightmare. We usually sleep in Entebbe when we land there. So one time, the hotels were full and you're going to Kampala. Oh, animals are crossing, children. Oh, your roads are bad. So there are smaller things that are going to put off visitors. And it is not going to be the reassurance by our good Minister for National Guidance, by our committee or chairperson of committee of defense, or by the spokesperson of the military. These things are real. People who are going to engage with them every day they are here. Because they are going to see them. They are going to see. So the other day we had a diplomat, I've forgotten which country, who, jokingly, but the story ended up in Monta. He said these potholes can bring tourists in Uganda. Irish ambassador. So we needed to have fixed a few things to begin. So if we are Uganda, I would actually plead that these meetings come 3 years after I have fixed many things. Remember Kenya, Chris or Kajweji was talking about the Africa Cup of Nations. Kenya actually had an opportunity to host it, but they said, no, we are not ready. After winning the bid to host it, they assessed themselves and said, you can please take it to another country, we are not ready. So you need to keep asking yourself, is this the best time for me to host such a huge meeting? The colleges, I am very sure, for them, that area, I have no issues. The seniors can go and scavenge on the money, but generally they will provide security and that capacity they have. That I have no doubt about it. But the other logistical issues, I really hope, maybe my advice again, Chris, sorry I have to say it publicly, we should make sure that the visitors don't visit Kampala until we have fixed our roads here and we look a better city. We can confine them from Entebbe to Munyonyo. It's like when your home is not good, you can make sure that the visitors don't go beyond the sitting room. You make sure you bring conversations until they leave. Because you don't want them to see behind. So at the moment, that's what we need. There are the potholes in Kampala. The roads are too broken to allow people just to freely move within Kampala. They may go, and these are the stories they're going to tell when they return home. So we can make sure that everything they want is around there, such that what they say about Uganda is what they have seen in Munyonyo and along the road from Entebbe to Munyonyo. And I hope the airport, because the construction is going on, because this construction was not meant for this meeting. We've borrowed money from China some time back just to make our airports better, like they have done in many other countries. Unfortunately, the meetings are coming when the construction is still going on, because it started earlier.
It has been completed, can I tell you?
I hope.
I'm telling you.
I hope.
Because I have done a tour.
I have seen construction is still going on. That's why I'm saying that I hope that there will be no construction.
Actually, what you have seen is
as people are landing.
The final touches on the face.
And the flowers will have grown, because I saw some which were being planted even last week. I hope they will have grown.
First grown flowers. But the other thing, if I can ask, have you ever met any foreigner who has come to Uganda, admired Uganda?
Yeah, I mean, the former German ambassador even returned.
He retired from here.
And he's not the only one who returned. Because there are many things that people can admire about a country, but I'm talking about the traffic. Not about 1, 2, 3, 20 people. I'm talking about the traffic. Because the traffic coming into the country, at least the official figures from your government, hasn't grown beyond the 1.8 every year. 1.8 million people. That's the figures that you keep posting every year. I have said Istanbul was ranked number 7 most visited. They said we want to be number 5 and overtake Dubai. And they said, what do? We now begin medical tourism. And you are hearing many people are going to Turkey for medical tourism. There are things that you can do beyond the chimpanzees and the wildlife. There are people, I have said this, Chris, on shows with you. The embassy in Cairo, the embassy in Turkey, and those embassies around there, they said Russians are some of the most visiting, they have a number of tourists beyond China and others. How do we attract them? They say, no, Russians, people who go for tourism in Russia, sometimes older people and those who want beaches, they are not interested in animals. That's why they go to Cairo, where I don't think there is any national park. But they go there in big numbers. They said, what do we do? So beyond the animals that are God-given, and you don't have a duty to protect them, we need to beautify our city. Our city is our face. Someone should land at Entebbe, come to Kampala, and you don't want to leave. But not that every visitor who comes to Uganda, Courage can do his work, he can secure the city. But I don't want to move on a city. The other day I told the people I'm no longer going to gym. The potholes that hit me every day coming to Kampala.
You are the one who's in charge of Kampala, the opposition.
No, the opposition was in charge of Kampala. By the KCC Act, you took it over. The president actually is in charge of Kampala. But even if the opposition was in charge, they don't do the allocation. But collectively, we have a duty, Chris. I think we can. We simply can't have this as our face. We simply cannot. I mean, you go to Rwanda, and I don't want to begin admiring Rwanda. Rwanda is like my younger brother. I don't want to be admiring, but their roads are good. There is order. The
highways.
Yes. But in Uganda,
there is discipline.
Yes, there is discipline. You go at a zebra crossing, and everybody is stopping, including borders. But here, everything has been messed up by NRM. Everything. No. So maybe before we have the next meeting.
The difference with Rwanda that you can't go there and speak the way we are speaking.
Exactly.
No, but and you go home.
Okay, I agree.
That would mean that
I agree, but a visitor is not going to a talk show.
Okay, gentlemen, let me bring in Professor here. Professor, a lot is going to be spent here.
Yes.
How do we get value for money? But also, how do we turn Uganda? Because there is this new tourism of meetings, incentives, exhibitions happening. Can Uganda, Kampala, be that destination to have those meetings, conferences, expos, and incentives? How do we make that this year?
This year? Oh, it has been happening. Okay, thank you. Yes, you're asking how do we make this. First of all, it's already happening that we are going to have this summit. It's a sign that's already happening. But we've also had other summits before. And of course, there's the CHOGM that everyone talks about. But before that, there have been other meetings. And for us in the academia, there tend to be very many meetings of this nature. Of course, they are very small. They don't attract the world. But you see, they are like 400 people, 300 people. So that is still big. So I think meetings occur all the time. I think for me, I see this as an opportunity. First and foremost, you're saying, how do we make money out of this?
Value for money.
Value for money. I believe we have always made money. The thing is we don't document. For each of the meetings I've been involved in, which include foreigners, they even want you to give them an afternoon off so that they go downtown. Now, some of us don't really go downtown that much, but these people want to go downtown, and they come back loaded with things. You never know what they're bought, but at least they take the materials, they buy the bags, they buy quite a number of things. So I think already a lot takes place. It is our documentation which maybe we need to work on. We need to document how much comes in terms of hotels. You know, these hotels, if we are not to talk about bananas and the pineapples, there are things like hotels, there are things like Uber drives, there are things. So there's a lot that goes on within the economy around tourism that we need to document. So if we can document that, then we can ably say what is happening, what benefits we make. But there are also benefits in terms of exposure. Honorable Samuji is complaining about how other people might be more disciplined and other cities could be better, and he is right. But maybe these people have had a longer history hosting things. So the more we get into hosting these things, probably our services will also improve. Our outlook will change. Because for some reason, Ugandans, let's look at just at the example of hotels. Ugandans don't leave home to go and sleep in hotels. In other cultures, that's a very common thing, that people leave their homes once in a while, a couple, a family, they go sleep in hotels. Ugandans, we don't do much of that. So who are the people who stay in our hotels? Many of them are foreigners. Many of them are guests. So that is very good for the economy. They employ people, they buy our food to feed those guests, and so there's an economy that goes on. But also the kind of improvements that come with regard to service standards. I know before we talked about Rwanda, everyone used to talk about quality services in terms of the hotel industry, hospitality industry of Kenya, okay? So this could be an opportunity for us to catch up. So that can be another benefit. But I think
Professor, sorry, what are we good at? You've spoken about hospitality and the Kenyans there. What is our value proposition?
I think Kenya for a long time had institutions like Utali College and whatever, and this for decades produced people. And I think there's also a time when many good hotels in Uganda were being managed by Kenyans. Even those outside Kampala, they were being managed by Kenyans. It was interesting going to, I think it's called Swinging in Bushenyi, 2-3 years ago, and it was also managed by a Kenyan, and this is deep in Bushenyi. I said, okay, so that is good. So and it's good for East African integration anyway. But what are we saying? We are saying that some people have built a brand around certain things. Now, Uganda's brand has always been around what God gave us. But as the member is saying, is we need to improve beyond what God gave us. But right now, actually, it's what brings a lot of money for our tourism. So we also need to nurture it as a resource. When we go to Vic Falls in Zimbabwe, what are you going to see there? There's actually nothing apart from the falls.
And the rainbow just.
And the rainbow. Those are all God-given things. When people go to the Himalayas, what are they going to see? They are going to see God-given things. When people go to watch the volcanoes and the hot water springs in Iceland, those are all God-given things, okay? So what God has given us, we can work with it. And so far now, in terms of gorilla tracking, that's one of our big comparative advantage. We have national parks. I know the Kenyan ones and Tanzanian ones are equally competitive, but also ours are competitive. So there are those things God has given us, the mountain trails, I don't know what on Mount Elgon. People do quite a number of things. The city folks, the bird species. So there are many things that we are good at. The other thing that Kampala is good at is the nightlife. Actually, you travel in many parts of the world and people are coming to Kampala because they've heard of places like Angenwa. Okay? They have had, it is interesting actually why people get attracted to some of these places. And this brings me to what I also wanted to say. Many cities have different characters. So when we come from this part and we go to the developed world, we see everything is in order. And that's good. That's the character of those kinds of cities. But those who are coming to our cities are also looking for a different kind of character. It doesn't mean we should not improve service delivery. We should do the roads, we should do the hospitality things, we should make sure there are no pickpockets and treat people to, I mean, Ugandans are very hospitable people. But beyond... There are
Wazungu who come here and get attracted to moving on a border.
Yeah, so you do have, so there are those, people look for different kind of thrills in these cities. Those who go, for example, to Delhi come back telling stories of having drunk sugarcane juice, no, that used to be Cairo, sugarcane juice on the streets. So there are those, people have different things. I mean, people look for different things in cities. But I also don't want us to decry the fact that sometimes there are no services. When I had a brief stint studying in the UK, what I observed is when they got big deals like this, they didn't go to already well-established spaces. Big deals like this, whether it's for AFCON or whatever, is an opportunity to gentrify an area, to improve an area. So with each event they have, whether they're hosting Commonwealth Games or a bit of the Olympics, they look for a depressed area and build it up. So they don't go to well-established facilities. Those ones are there for backup. But it's also an opportunity to build from scratch. You go like to Katanga and say, what can we put there? Do we want to put there this kind of convention center, or do we want to put there this football stadium? And they put it there and services. So when another event comes, they build another area. And that's how many of those places have been built since the 60s. So the mere fact that people are building is not a bad thing, okay? So it is actually a good thing, because many times these events don't go to well-established places. Those are good for bidding. but it should also be an opportunity for a country to improve an area which was depressed, because you have money coming in for that particular purpose.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen and lady, our time is fast spent, so I'll give each of you 2 minutes to give your closing remarks, but also to say your Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. I'll start with Professor, Honorable Samuju, General Felix, Honorable Wilson, and finally the Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. What I would like to say is, I think Uganda is privileged to be hosting these events. These events put up the profile of the country, they improve service delivery in the country, they help improve the infrastructure in the country. I think what we need to do, as I've emphasized before, is let us track the data, let us get our people to benefit from these events by integrating them in the system. We should not look at the people as just a problem to be kept away as a security threat, but to bring them on board and say, how do we popularize this event? How do we get them to own this event and see the visitors as theirs? And I think for those who are organizing the events, if we can work on different parts of the cities, let the visitors be allowed and be given information about where they can get other things. We know the big heads of state are going to be locked up in meetings of that nature. But those they have come with can spend time, do shopping, and interface with the Ugandan people who have been reputed for having a very good, character, very polite with people, and that is really about the events. So this event should not just come and go without the ordinary Ugandan benefiting from it. I think it's an opportunity for people to benefit from it. And with regard to security, as the security forces do what they are good at, we should know that security begins with us. So as citizens, we have an obligation, and we have a duty as citizens to be responsible citizens. So if we see anything which is not right, if we see anything which is amiss, let us know how best. Maybe they should guide us how best we should report this, because security begins with me. We are the first line of defense. And just briefly, Merry Christmas to everybody. It has been a tough year, but we know God has led us this far. Let's be a time to celebrate with family, to celebrate with friends, but also to take a rest and just celebrate ourselves. So Merry Christmas, and wish you all a prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samuju.
Let these meetings not be used as a platform for endorsing Mr. Museveni's 40 years or as a platform for acceptance from isolation that all the leaders who overstay in power will face, but as an opportunity to market a country, to market our tourism. And I will repeat my call to Chris and people in government. Please find competent people to run these conferences. Let those who are in government not seize these meetings as an opportunity for them to enrich themselves. We need to get the competent people to run them, even if it means picking them from around our neighbors, so that people have something to remember about Uganda. And again, my plea is that because of the breakdown of the roads, many of the roads in Kampala, we can, this time for these meetings, restrict our visitors to the sitting room. They don't have to see what is in the kitchen, what is behind. Otherwise, they will come to the same conclusion like the Irish ambassador, that potholes can actually also bring visitors here. So what you want them to see, we should make sure that that's what they see. So that next time we have meetings in Kampala, we prepare very well, and then we can allow them to move around freely. But this time, but also to tell Chris again, for the government to know that at least traditionally, everybody who wakes up in the morning, you first wash the face. You don't start with other parts of the body, they are important, but you start with the face because that's what everybody is going to see. As we prepare for this and other meetings, let's try to make Kampala better, and it is possible. Kampala is a very beautiful city. Its location, but has been neglected. It's not run like a city should, because I mean, you see Kigali is like a project. You even know where they want to be. If you visit them, they will tell you want to be where Brussels is in so many years. So that's my prayer to people in government, and to wish everybody a good festive season.
Thank you very much. General Felix.
Thank you, Timothy. Dear viewers, as we celebrate Christmas, I pray that we'll be cautious of our surroundings. Mind who has come in the area. Do you know who he is, where he has come from? What they call neighborhood watch elsewhere is what makes foundation security. It's you, the citizen, your eyes and ears, and with the collaboration and coordination with security, we shall definitely forestall any threats that we are concerned about. I want to wish you a merry festive season, a prosperous new year, and please work to end poverty in your homes and prosper your country. God bless you.
Honorable Wilson.
First of all, it is very important to know that we are not only hosting NAM, we are also taking chairmanship for the next 3 years. And in doing that, the Republic of Uganda shall be prioritizing the fight against international terrorism, regional integration and peace making, shall be looking at human trafficking and human rights crisis.
Human what?
Human rights crisis. Shall be, yes, and Uganda shall be promoting the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. And in doing that, so Uganda, by the time they hand over the leadership of Uganda, of NAM, by Uganda shall make the whole membership so proud of the country that we belong to. The last point I wanted to make is, and I agree with all, that Ugandans from Kisoro to Arua to Busia to Kadam need to feel the benefit of the incentive, the benefit of hosting these conferences, both the Commonwealth speakers and presiding officers, the NAM and the G77. How? By earning some greenback into there. Shortly after, if we receive multitudes of visitors coming to see us, they use the same facilities, use the same hotel rooms built, that is the benefit. Lastly, and of course without forgetting that the people of Nyabushozi need to benefit from the hosting of NAM and the conferences. Lastly, I wish our viewers a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2024 for God and my country.
Thank you very much.
Lastly, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much. See, Uganda viewed from the international space is actually a respected country.
Exactly.
And even the leader of this country, President Yoweri Museveni, is actually respected and revered by his colleagues, the internationals. That part explains why these conferences are coming, and many more will come. So it's a very great opportunity which we should seize as Ugandans. Like we have said in these discussions, this is a conference or conferences coming to us as Ugandans. So let's do our best so that we create a very good impression, that our visitors go with the right perception, so that wherever they go, they will remember Uganda as a very good country, and they will be persuaded to come back and even come as tourists, come as investors, and come in many forms. On our side as a government, we are doing all it takes to make sure that we have successful summits. We are going into Christmas festive season. This is a time to reunite with our families, with our communities, and celebrate with our people. My message is that those who are driving to the countryside, let's be cautious. Let's drive carefully so that we are able to safely reach our destinations. When I used to work as a medical officer at a hospital, this used to be the most busy times for health workers. You would meet people who have been involved in accidents, so we pray that we all become cautious and avoid these
especially
accidents.
because the roads are very bad.
But not necessarily. Actually, when the roads are bad, like potholes, you rarely get accidents because you are driving very slowly.
No, you do.
And carefully. But when they are very smooth, like in the countryside where most of our roads are very smooth, people just run
But
and
the countryside,
overspeed.
there are no vehicles. The vehicles are
But
here.
who? Also, let's celebrate responsibly. Sometimes people take an overdose of the bitter stuff, and then they end up in domestic violence, and then they end up in the hospitals. So we celebrate. Let's celebrate responsibly, enjoy with our families, so that we can be able to reach the new year, 2024, and start it with vigor,
And you
with
need to
stamina,
warn them
with the
because
energy.
there are no drugs in the hospital.
Again,
So
let's see. Your DMP provide more money in the parliament to make sure there are
does
drugs.
Parliament provide the money?
Yes, you
Parliament,
supply. You
you
supply the
approve.
resources. Don't divert me. Finally, on the issues of security,
I am not
let's all be
my duty is to approve.
security conscious. Sometimes these criminals want to take advantage of the festive season when people are happy and celebrating, and they want to use that. So let's be on the lookout. And if there is any suspicious element, especially in those areas near Congo, stretching from Kisoro up to West Nile, in those communities, now that we have information that some of the ADF remnants could have run and escaped into our villages, let's be mindful of that. Be extra cautious. Be suspicious of whoever you see and you don't understand him. Collaborate and liaise with security and the LOC system so that we don't get like what happened in the Kamwenge and what has been happening in the Kasese. We wish you a merry festive season, a merry Christmas, and a prosperous New Year 2024, where we should come and be ready to serve and continue working for this country.
Thank you very much. Let me read.
The show has ended.
No, not yet. Timothy, I request.
Say
One
your
second.
last words. Now you are.
No, the moderator,
I just same way when you moderate your show, you will control me. I request to extend my condolences to the family of Francis Bwenje, who perished in a motor accident.
Bwenje?
Yes.
But when?
Bwenje, not Bwenje.
No, it's Rukwenge.
Okay.
Because Bwenje is my relative.
Oh, yeah.
It's Rukwenge. Actually, people have been confusing the names. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, let me read some of these messages coming through. Greetings, Timothy and the panelists. Uganda, we need to ensure that some of these leaders don't come with their own food. They need to enjoy our food and our culture. How will that ordinary
Your
Ugandan
president
benefit?
takes food
Okay?
and he says
He's
the food
right.
is not good.
Someone also goes on, this is George watching from South Sudan. He says Uganda still has enough time to improve the sectors like security, which is really the main concern of every country. I hope Uganda can manage that, and there is still enough time. Thank you really for the program. Okay, thank you very much too. Finally, good evening, our respected leaders there. I'm watching you from Bududa. I want to thank you for the show. What estimates of economic benefits are there from these big gatherings? Government invests billions. How do we ensure that the economy benefits from this? Wilson from Bududa. And finally, one more here. This is Jack Mutebi from Mukono. Let's thank my favorite professor and her wisdom, and having Honorable Semuju and Honorable Chris and the panel there. Talking about miserable palm trees planted at Entebbe Road, they would look like they are perishing tomorrow. Uganda is a comedy. She is a joke, a big dustbin, a toilet. But let's hope for the best in these last few days there. But also, there's hope that has been said about how to market our country and how to improve our marketing together. Okay, thank you very much for
that. That Ugandan, you writing
yes,
that.
Professor Sam also sent a message here. She has loved you.
Father.
Somebody has sent a message here saying, I love the professor.
So from us to you, we'll end it with this
Okay,
quote.
those who have
Safety
said it,
is not an accident.
Okay, those
Good
who-
morning
so
and
to you
Merry
was
Christmas.
No. I said,